Okay, we are a go. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Just waiting for things. Oh, there we go. Ah, I've lost myself. Don't know what's going on. Don't know what's going on. So, okay, look. Okay, good evening, good evening, good evening. I am late, but that's nothing. That's not really anything new for me, is it, to be late? Let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. Like it's quite common for me to be late. Um, just waiting for people to jump in. Let's have a look. Good evening, Laurie. Hello, Laura. Laura, I'm going to speak about you today. And James, I'll speak about you guys today. Hello, Morris. How is everything going, Morris? I hear good things from Shepton with your tours. Jenny, Rachel, Diane, hello, everyone. So much to cover today, so much. Normally I come into this unplanned, unprepared, unscripted, as you know. Today I've got a bit of a plan. I have got a bit of a plan. Or just a few things I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about my week last week, basically. I thought I'd talk a little bit about Night Behind Bars. We had the third one just gone, which both Rachel, which both Laura and James came to. Some really good things about that, some really bad things about that. So I thought we might talk about that a little bit. Various bits and pieces other than that sort of happened this week and transpired. I'm trying to think what else I did this week. We got our last Night Behind Bars this Saturday for the year. Oh, hello. The door opened, the door closed. I don't know what's going on. And I thought I might pick up a little bit about some of the challenge with the coronavirus. So some of the changes in legislation, what that's meant for us, what we've had to do, those kind of things. So that was kind of what I was thinking about doing tonight, unless there's anything specific that anybody else wants me to cover. Last week was a little bit different because I was in a hotel room, obviously down in Wells, because I was staying down in Shepton. This week I'm back at home, as you can see, because you can see the unplastered wall behind me. So yeah, I thought I'd do that. Let's sort of see how we go. So hello Dave and Shirl. Let's have a quick look. Jenny, do we ever do kids tours aimed at 6 to 8ish? Yeah, absolutely we do. 6 is quite young, and that's why if we were going to do a tour for that age group, we'd want the kind of 6 to 8 years so we can target the entire tour to them. I think if we brought older children onto it as well, it's quite difficult. But yeah, absolutely we can do that, and yes, we can do it in either prison. So we could do it at Shepton Prison, and Morris, who's on here, is one of our tour guides. Morris is just started with us. We're very pleased. He is a current serving prison officer, about to be an ex-prison officer, but very pleased to have Morris joining us and the team. And absolutely, I'm sure he will be more than happy to take a group of 6 to 8 year olds around the jail and obviously tailor the tour to them, because it will be quite different from what we might normally do, because obviously the ages. But yeah, absolutely no worries. If you drop us a message, Jenny, either to the Shepton team, and they'll be able to put you in contact with Paige, who does all of the private bookings and stuff like that. Good evening, Kirsty. How are things? Just about to talk about Night Behind Bars, Kirsty, which I know is an event that you'd obviously look to do. We've got our last one this Saturday. So that's good. I think we've got one ticket left, which is, it does happen. I think we had the same sort of last week, because what happens is people book in twos, and we have 75 tickets. We'll have one odd one sort of each week. But yes, so should we do Night Behind Bars first? Because let's start there, and then we'll move into the. Oh, sorry, I'm just seeing Morris, Officer G Senior. Do you know, I've not told him that yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to see him tomorrow or not, but next time I do see him, I will mention it to him. Or actually, I'll ping it into the Campbell Group page, Morris, so he can see it. Okay, so yeah, I think we'll pick up on Night Behind Bars last week, and then we'll move into some of the stuff around coronavirus this week, what the changes have made for us as a business, some of the challenges I think the government have faced, and where I don't want to say kind of as strong as where they've got it wrong, but they've definitely made some mistakes on this one, and I'm not convinced. One of the things I will be asking you later, don't answer now, but I will ask you later, is whether you will be downloading the the track and trace app. So we'll come on to that because I'm really interested in that. I've been asking people that all day today. Hello Viv, hello Dave. I am keeping safe, I am keeping well. Let's have a quick look at Morris. I've never eaten a whole child, but I'll give it a go. Kirsty, missed last week, need to do this, anyone go from here? Yeah, Kirsty, last week James and Laura went, and a couple of others, and I'm going to speak, we're going to catch up on that now. So yeah, there's one space left for this year, Kirsty, and then a few for next year. I think April and stuff sold out. So anyway, let's crack on. So night behind bars last week. Now last week was supposed to be the smoothest one for us that we were doing, and the reason for that is because there was quite a lot of people from sort of the cohort of cellmates, and a few people that are very connected to the jail that follow us quite a lot, that follow what we do, really kind of behind what we do and stuff like that. So we had a number of people that you know are really connected to us, as opposed to people that have just seen what we do and just joined the event. And because of that, we thought this was going to be quite smooth. So people like James and Laura were there, our friends from I was going to say Derby then, but they're not from Derby. Doncaster? I think I was saying Doncaster. So our friends from there, and stuff like that, and a couple of others. I'm sure some of them will be on here and maybe staying quiet, as will become apparent shortly. So oh, there he is, Glenn. Yeah, there he is. Hello, Glenn. Sorry, Glenn. Sorry, I've completely forgot. It's Doncaster, isn't it? Is it Doncaster? Am I right in saying that? I'm sure you'll correct me in a second. Cool. Right. Anyway, neither here nor there. They'll come into a second. So we had a few people. So we thought it was going to be great, and it was going relatively smoothly. And then somebody turned up relatively drunk. As they came in, I'd certainly clocked them. It was Dudley. Sorry guys, Dudley. Our Dudley contingent, as Lauren calls it. The Dudleys. She calls you guys. The Dudleys are here. So anyway, so this couple turned up, nice enough, but she'd had quite a few to drink, and we sort of saw on the way in. I was like, do you know what? She might be okay. She's kind of on the cusp. So I was like, well, we'll bring her in. We'll see how she is, see how she settles, and we'll go from there. She did not settle well. Basically, she I think was quite loud. I think quite too close to other people. You know, social distancing for her was kind of out the window a little bit. I was actually in the restaurant by this point, so I was cooking, so I didn't see a lot of it, but I heard lots of reports of it, and the staff were certainly flagging it. So when the officers arrived about 8:30, 9 o'clock, we asked them to go and speak to them basically and see how she was doing and make an assessment of whether she could stay for the evening or whether she couldn't. Anyway, so that happened. They made the assessment for the evening, made the decision that she had too much to drink and she wouldn't be able to stay, which really doesn't happen that often, unfortunately, in our events. Oh, Laurie, I don't know. I'll cross out a sec. So she was asked to leave, and that was by and large fine. I think the boyfriend was okay. I think she was okay, but yeah, she'd had too much to drink to stay in the event, and she had that beforehand. So she was asked to leave. So that was kind of the first bit, and then it kind of was fine. We don't really get people drinking particularly heavy at these events. We have a bar open, but it's not a particularly heavy drinking night because people obviously want to experience the prison. So that was fine. But anyway, there was everything kind of went smoothly. The tours went fine as per normal. The tour guides left. There was me and Graham and Barry left, which is quite a standard kind of thing for the last three. I'm just reading some of the comments. So I'm reading the comments as it gets there. So I'm just going to try and keep up with this because I know there's people commenting that were there, so they're obviously the same bits and pieces. So anyway, so that was fine, and then what we do is we do walk arounds throughout the evening. So we tend to base ourselves. Barry bases himself at the front gate. He's constantly there. Graham and I tend to wander around, or the two staff are continuously wandering around, speaking to people, checking different areas in the main area where there's tea and coffee and stuff like that, and just checking things. So Graham was in the main area, chatting to people. I went for the wander round. And on my way round, I did a little live, And then on my way around, I noticed the sports hall door was open, which it shouldn't have been. And we're still not quite sure how it was open, but it was open. I don't know if it had been left open from a previous event. It certainly hadn't been broken into, but anyway, neither here nor there. There was people in the sports hall, which we normally keep closed, because it's just an empty room. There's nothing in there apart from a bit of battle archery kits, a few bows and arrows. And I went in there and I found our Dudley contingent outside, basically, because the fire exit was open. And they popped their head in and said hello, and said that the area was open. They weren't sure whether it should be or not. So I said, no, it should be closed. And then they turned around to me and pointed out that actually there had been a problem over at the other end of the sports hall, and somebody had taken it upon themselves to basically have a fire extinguisher fight. And what they'd done is they'd sprayed the fire extinguisher all over the sports hall floor. And we later discovered they sprayed another fire extinguisher over one of the toilet floors between visits and chapel. So it was a bit of a mess, to be honest. And I'll be brutally honest, I was pissed off, like really pissed off by this, because you bring people into your prison, you bring them to have a good time. Yes, they're customers, yes, they're paying customers, but you bring them to have a good time and enjoy it, and they act irresponsibly and behave like that, because you know, it's just not the right behaviour really to pick up a fire extinguisher and just spray it all over the place. Yes, Kirsty, someone did stay in 203, and I'm going to come on to that in a second, because they actually, I spoke to them in the morning. So that had happened, which was really unfortunate. What got us was that there was a couple of cans of cider on the side, and they'd been spilt right next to where everything was, and it was cider we didn't sell. So somebody obviously bought some alcohol to the event themselves, but that allowed us to basically go and find out who had done it. So we went around some of the cells, Graham and I, looking for who had this type of drink, and we found somebody that did, and basically spoke to them, and they admitted that they were part of a larger group that had basically sprayed fire extinguishers everywhere, and they told us who else had done it. So spoke with them, relayed my disappointment and my annoyance to them effectively. Now we didn't ask them to leave. And that's because, by and large, I don't really like to ask people to leave. It's an event that, you know, you want people to enjoy. So it's a very, very last resort. And we tend to only ask people to go if they've had too much to drink, which is very, very rare, or if there's something dangerous, or we just think that it's not going to work. It's very, very rare. So this guy was a bit difficult, but by and large he held his hands up to it. He apologised. He said he would go clean it up, and it was a silly thing to do. So whilst I wasn't happy, and I did relay that to him, I did let him stay in the event. Graham and I made the decision that, you know, he wasn't going to be any further trouble, and therefore he could stay basically. He then told me who else was involved, so I then went to find this other group. Found them on Sea Wing, asked to speak to them outside on Sea Wing Yard. So I went outside the Sea Wing Yard and was talking to them, and basically saying that how disappointed I was that they had behaved like this. They all turned around and said that they weren't involved, it was nothing to do with them, it was this other guy, at which point this other guy turned up. I know it's starting to get a little bit kind of, you can imagine how this was going now. This is, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And I was basically, I was really annoyed. I was saying, look, at the end of the day, I think you're all involved in this, and nobody's actually innocent. And then they basically turned around and said, no, he started it, they started it, I did it because they did it. I was like, guys, you are not children. I said, you're not fucking children. You're grown-ups, you're adults. Because someone did something doesn't mean you have to do something. And my point was, why didn't any of you come and speak to me about it? If someone else did it, why didn't you come and find one of us and tell us? You just ignored it. And at which point there was one of the guys there who's follows us on our lives, follows us on what we do, is really connected to prison, and says that he's a huge fan of everything we do, has massive respect for everything we do, and thinks we were brilliant basically, and we're like celebrities, which we don't think, but that's what he was saying. He was saying that all night. So when I spoke to him and he was part of this group, I flagged to him that I was really, I flagged to him that I was really disappointed with him, especially because he's so connected to the prison. In the same way that if any of you guys that are watching this now came to the prison and were part of a group like that, I would turn around and say to you, I'm especially disappointed with you guys because you know how hard we work, because you follow us and you support us and stuff like that. So that's what I did. That's what I said. At which point, the guy that had done most of the spraying of the fire extinguisher came up and said, "I'm going to shake your hand." I was like, "No, no, you stay over there. I don't want you anywhere near me." And he came at me again. I was like, "No, mate, fuck off. Don't want you anywhere near me. You're not wearing a mask. We're outside. I don't want you anywhere near me. You stay over there," basically. And that was kind of it. And I was just like, "Look, none of you are going to get thrown out, like, because we're not going to do that. But we're going to keep an eye on you for the rest of the night. And we just ask you to respect the building, effectively." No, cup of tea tonight, Kirsty. Saving my alcohol for Saturday. No, I'm joking. I'm working. So yeah, so that was that basically, and kind of thought, well, that's it. That's done with. Put it to bed. And about an hour later, this guy who was connected to us in the sense of watches the lives and stuff like that, who I'd said I was more disappointed in because of the connection he has with us, he basically came and found me and was just had a go predominantly for about 20 minutes, just quite a heavy go. It's about 2:30 and it must be about 3:30 in the morning by now. And he was proper angry, really going off on this. I'm trying to calm him down, trying to have this conversation. And there were people in cell 203, and I didn't find out about this until the morning, Kirsty, who were sleeping in 203, who came out because they could hear the argument, basically. I say it's an argument, it wasn't, because I wasn't arguing. They could hear the raised voice from his perspective, came out and basically were watching it. They said to us in the morning that they'd observed him kicking off and me sort of just trying to sort of chill down. But anyway, he got to a point where he decided he wanted to leave. So about 4 o'clock in the morning, off he went, out he went, shouting, swearing, kicking off, shouting all sorts of stuff. So him and his wife went outside, sat in the car, basically for about an hour and a half. I think he was just sort of getting some sleep and stuff. And I thought, despite the fact that he'd been really angry through the whole thing and been really quite aggressive towards me, I kind of felt that I didn't want to leave it lie. So what I did was I went with the ethos that you catch more bees with honey than vinegar. So at 5 o'clock in the morning, I went and turned on the fryers, turned on the coffee machine, made 2 sausage baps, made 2 lattes, wrapped them all up, and took them out to him and his wife in the car. Got out to them, and he gets out of the car and he just starts swearing at me again. It was like being clamped all over again, telling me that I can fuck off and I'm a prick and all sorts of stuff. And his wife was really upset. So I said to her, like, do you want something to eat? And she was like, yeah. So I gave her the rolls. I gave her the coffee. I gave her both of them. At which point he starts accusing me of littering in his car. So I just walked off. I just left it to her basically, and I think they left shortly afterwards. And that was kind of that. Obviously, since then he's complained, asked for refunds and stuff like that, and just basically said how difficult I am and how I came with a sarky attitude to bring them food at 5 in the morning and coffee. So that was that. So that kind of put a dampener on the middle of the night. And then I got persuaded, because I don't normally do this, I haven't done this for a couple of years. So I got persuaded by our Dudley contingent, by the Dudleys, to take them up on the roof to show them where we sit when we watch the sunrise, basically, which sits above all of the jail. You can see out all over Shrewsbury, all out over the hills and stuff like that. It's an amazing sunrise. So I took them up there and I messaged Laura and James and asked if they'd like to join us, who were asleep, can I point out. Laura and James, who said they were not going to sleep, they were going to be awake all night, were asleep in their cell. So I messaged them and they basically came up and joined us, and the 5 of us, me, Glenn, I can't remember the other guy's name, that's so bad of me, I do apologise. Laura and James, we sat up on the roof basically, took a few photos, obviously social distancing, and watched the sun come up. It was a bit cloudy, so it wasn't as good as the sunrise as it can be, but it's an amazing, Jay, that's it. But it's a good place to sit basically, and like I say, watch the sun come up. But it was quite nice, and for me, it was really nice because I got to just calm down, because I was quite angry. I must admit, I was quite pissed off. So it was really good to be able to just sit up there with some really nice people, have a chat just about general life and about the prison and about their night and things like that, and kind of some of the things we want to do. Let them have a look at an area that they've never seen before and a view they've not seen, that most people don't get to do it. So I did that, and what should I talk about? And then I came downstairs. Obviously brought those guys with me, and went and made breakfast, and that was kind of night behind bars. So yeah, it was all right. It's just funny how it's just the irony that we thought this was going to be the smoothest one out of all of them, and it ended up being quite hard work in the middle. And you just don't want that. What you want is you want people to enjoy it and to have fun, and be respectful. And the idea that these guys had let off the fire extinguishers, and Graham made a really good point to them. He said, look guys, at the end of the day, whatever you think of this, the reason fire extinguishers are there is to save people's lives. So if there is an emergency, you can save, that's literally what it's there for. And by messing around with it like that, and then nobody telling us, people's lives are put in danger. So that was kind of the reality that Graham came out with, which is absolutely right. So yeah, so that was that. So yeah, that was Night Behind Bars. We've got the last one this Saturday. A couple of little changes we're obviously making to it because of the government guidelines. So table service, that's going to be interesting. So we're doing table service in terms of ordering as well. And I think other than that, there's not really a lot of changes because everything's so COVID secure anyway. It's not really too much of an issue for us. But yeah, and obviously masks and groups and stuff like the way we did it. So yeah, so it'll be a good event. Last one of the year. I think there's a space left. So there's one space left. And yeah, that'll be it for this year. And we're not back to it till the 21st of April, I think. So yeah, looking forward to doing that one. And then we'll wait for the cold weather, and obviously wait until it gets a bit warmer. Which I guess brings me on nicely to the, they're talking about the stairs to get up onto the roof. The stairs are a set of stairs, but they're almost like they're stairs, but they're like ladder stairs, so they're kind of like at this pretty steep angle. When you go up them, they don't seem too bad because you're going up, but when you come down, they're pretty steep. But these guys did really well. Yeah, I can see they really were vertical. So yeah, they're pretty steep. But yeah, Lauren, funny enough, is always quite amusing. I don't think she's on tonight, but she's quite amusing up there because the hatch to get up onto the roof is really heavy. So Lauren can't really open it by herself, and if you shut the hatch down when she's on the roof, she can't get off the roof. So those are the little games we like to play. Lock Lauren on the roof. Kirsty, do I come along on my own? Well, you can come along on your own, but there'll be lots of other people there. So yeah, you'll have your own cell and your own bubble, I guess. There'll be other people coming there from different events, but anyway. It's like stairs on a submarine. I've never been on a submarine, James, so I'm not sure, but you could well be right. I tell you what though, Glenn, Jay, James, Laura, next time you come, we'll get you guys back at some point. And we'll get you into tunnels. Or what we'll do maybe is when we're pulling the venting system out of the tunnels next year, and we've got all the asbestos out that's down there covering it, and we're pulling the vents out, maybe we'll get you guys down there as part of the first tour, or as sort of doing the recce's down there and figuring out exactly what we're going to do, because it's nice to have you guys come and do that. And obviously you've seen most of the area, so it'll be nice for you to come and see the under bits that nobody else has seen as we're sort of developing them. I think you guys will enjoy that, so we'll look at that next year. Right, I want to move on. Any news on home education versus school? Yeah, we're going to continue to home educate is the short answer. I'll probably pick that up maybe a little bit more next week, Laura, if that's all right. But yeah, we're going to continue to home educate. Number of reasons in there. They really enjoyed school. The school was great. Really liked it. Big up to the guys at Shrewsbury Primary School, because it was a difficult decision. But yeah, it was one that we made that we'll keep home editing. Right, question for you guys. Who is going to download the Track and Trace app, and who is not? And if you're not going to download it, why are you not going to download it? So answers in the comments, please. Who's downloading it, who's not downloading it, and why wouldn't you? I'm really curious on this. So yeah. Oh, Laurie, they're coming back on Tuesday with, I'm guessing, Albert's the dog. Um, you'll see some really good stuff actually. I think this week. I'm not sure what day they're doing it, Laura, but we're having the gates put back into the hoarding next week, and also they're coming next week with a massive cherry picker to do all the drain pipes all the way around the jail. So I'm really hoping I can persuade the guys to let me get in the cherry picker with them and go right up to the top, and get right up to the top of the jail and get some amazing photos. So, okay, let's have a quick look. Okay, I don't know which day those are coming yet, Laura. It might not be Tuesday. They're there for a few days, so we'll see. Downloaded. Lots of people downloading it. Glenn, no, don't want it. Diane, undecided. Glenn, talk to me, Glenn. Tell me why you don't want it. Because I haven't downloaded it, and I've got a reason behind that for me. And funny enough, none of my team have downloaded it, and none of my friends have downloaded it. In fact, you guys are the first people to tell me you've downloaded it. So I'm really curious as to why people don't want to. Laura doesn't want it. Interesting. James has got it, but Laura hasn't. Interesting. Let's have a quick look then, see what people are saying. Yeah, it's the reasons why you don't want to download it. That's what I'm really interested in. So whilst I'm seeing the answers pop up, and I'll sort of see as they come through. One of the things that happened for us this week. Glenn has enough of his missus tracking him without the government. That's amazing. We'll tell Lauren that one tomorrow. Yeah, Glenn, don't need the government knowing what and where I am. Claire hasn't done it. Really interesting stuff here. So we've obviously had to put new measures in place. It's so COVID secure already. It is the NHS app, Teresa. We're talking about whether you've downloaded the NHS app, and if not, why not? Just out of curiosity, I'm building up to it, so you're at the beginning of the conversation, so it's fine. So we're already incredibly COVID secure, as you guys know. We've obviously had to make some changes this week because of the government changes. We've changed into today. Things like table service for night behind bars. I'm going to come back to the table service one because it's really weird. We fall in such a middle category, such an undefined category. It's really tough for us. Maurice, interesting. So we did that. We've had to put up we've put up the posters about the NHS app. Now, sure, anyone's ever downloads it, or is it made to download it? Right. Okay. Well, let's look at it from a slightly different perspective. Let's look at it from let's just look at it from my perspective. Let's look at it from a business perspective. So we have to, by law, show the posters. So we have to put up a poster that says you have a QR code. It has our location on it. It's registered to us, so you can scan it from the app, and it basically checks you in that location. Fine. It does on the app, so the app then knows where you are. So I'm just reading the concept. Yeah, okay. It doesn't quite do that exactly, Laurie, but it doesn't tell if you're stood next to somebody, I don't think, but it does tell the location you're in. So you can do that. Now, up until now, we've been doing track and trace. So every single person that comes in, we collect your details. We don't already have your details through your booking system, We haven't booked online, you're just turning up on the day. But we take your details as part of the entry, and you can't get entry without giving us your details. If you're exempt from wearing masks, that's fine, but we take your details as part of track and trace. We've done that, and we've not had any problems at all. It's been seamless. Now the app's been launched, and we have to put up the posters to say, we have to as law, we can get fined if we don't, to put up the poster to say, you can check in here using the QR code. If you've got the app, use QR code. If you haven't got the app, download the app and use QR code. Now that's fine if you've got it, but if you don't have it, we still collect your details. And what the government have said is, if people check in using the app, we do not collect your details. So what we now do is, now our staff have to identify whether you're going to check in via the app or check in via us. And we are going to get some people who will say they'll check in via the app that potentially won't. Keely, I don't think that the QR code, QR code is a legal requirement for everyone to put up. You have to, if you're a business or a certain type of entity, you have to put the QR code up, but you don't have to have the app. So people only have to do one or the other, and we're told we don't have to collect details if they use the app. But if I use the app to download and I put my details in and I check in via the app, and then I lose my phone, I drop my phone, I break my phone, or a couple of days later or later that day I decide I don't want the app anymore and I delete it, done. Can't contact me. Whereas if we've got your details, we can continue to contact you because there's email or phone number. If you lose your phone, it doesn't matter. We're still going to be able to get hold of you one way or the other through email and stuff like that. So I'm a little bit kind of concerned about that. And I think the fact that we have to retrain our staff again as well is quite difficult. We're asking quite a lot from our team now in terms of identifying how you're registering you're with us. So there's that bit which isn't ideal. The other bit for me that I'm kind of a bit oh, sorry, this is really close. The other bit that I'm a bit concerned about is about how much they're going to track what you do. Now, I'm not worried about social media. I know a lot of people panic about social media or worry about social media, about privacy. But ultimately, you can decide everything on social media. You decide your privacy settings, and fundamentally, you can decide what to post, when to post it, who to connect with, who to share stuff with, and who not to share stuff with. The only thing you can't control on social media is the ads that they're going to chuck in front of you, which is based on everything you do online. And again, you can tailor that to a degree. So in that sense, social media's over here in a bucket, but the app is a bit different. You can't really, as I understand it, control the same, you can't really control the same settings of privacy. You start checking in at places, the government can see where you are, and there is a level in there that I must admit even I'm not comfortable with, about how much the government will be able to track you through your phone in terms of where you are, how long you're there for, and stuff like that. And I must admit I do, and I spoke to one of my team today who said that they feel that coronavirus is a serious pandemic and it's something we all need to take seriously, but it has been a good opportunity for governments, not just our government, but for governments to step further into our privacy. And I think, you know, the app is the next thing. And I know there's really good reasons for it, but at the same time, I think our business, certainly my business, is perfectly capable of tracking and tracing. What the government will have is a difference in how expensive the systems are to run. So the track and trace system as it is now, with people on phones and emails and stuff, is going to be very heavy cost based because it's very heavy people driven, whereas the app won't cost quite as much because it won't need as many people. But therein lies a concern. So yet to be decided, but I have some worries about it. Which brings me on to my next point, which is about licensed premises. So basically the way the ruling's set is if you are a licensed premises, you must serve food and drink. People have to sit at a table. So in your restaurant area, they have to stay in the masks until they're sat at the table. When they're sat at the table, they can remove their masks. Then they have to order from the table. Like, so there's table ordering and table service, basically the full way through, which is not what we do. We take your order at the counter, you come to the counter order, and then we obviously bring it to you at the table. So as a licensed premises, that's what you have to do. Or as a food premises, sorry, but as a licensed premises as well. And now a licensed premises has to shut between the hours of 10 and 5. And this is the interesting bit, because Shrewsbury is a licensed premises in the fact that we have a license. Shepton is not a fully licensed premises. We use TENS licenses on events, so it's not licensed day by day. So if you take something like our ghost tours, which finish at 10:30 p.m, same tour, slightly different. Obviously, Shepton's is specific to Shepton, Shrewsbury is specific to Shepton, but the same style of tour, basically, run in the same way. Now, Shepton's going to be able to continue theirs because they're not licensed, so therefore they don't have to close at 10. Shrewsbury won't be allowed to continue its ghost tour in theory because it's a licensed premises, therefore it has to close at 10, despite the fact we don't sell alcohol in that event. And therein lies the challenge, is it's not specified, it's either licensed or not licensed, there's no in the middle, because we're licensed in Shrewsbury for events only. So for example, Night Behind Bars this weekend will stop serving at 10, and that's when that part of the event will end, and the restaurant will close, and then obviously we'll move to a different event style for the rest of the evening. So it's a real imbalance there as well, I think, which is a bit of a challenge for us as a business. And what that's meant is during the day, because McDonald's and Pret A Manger and a number of other businesses, they're exempt from having to do table service because, and the government have exempted them because they're not licensed. So therefore, if you are a restaurant that is unlicensed, you don't have to do table service. There's an exemption saying you don't have to do it, and you can still do counter service. So, but our restaurant at Shrewsbury wouldn't be included in that because we have a license, despite the fact we don't serve alcohol during the day. So just because we have a license means we'd have to do table service, despite the fact we don't serve the alcohol during the day. So today we had to make a decision as to how we were going to manage that, and whether we were going to almost exempt ourselves by saying, well, look, yes, we're licensed, but we don't sell alcohol during the day, so therefore we should fall into the same category as McDonald's and Pret and stuff like that. So really difficult. And then what you've then got is you've got businesses making decisions based on common sense, reading between the lines, and trying to balance what's practical, what's realistic, and what's fair. So that's been a real challenge. I don't disagree with you, James, to be honest. That's something we discussed previously about stopping serving alcohol at 10 o'clock. And I think that's probably what we're going to do as well, is we'll stop serving. That's what we're going to do this weekend. We'll stop the restaurant there, and I think that's probably the model we'll go forwards. I think you're absolutely right. I think that makes a lot of sense. So, and we're still kind of just getting it right as well, and obviously trying to get it right in COVID. But yeah, it is really confusing. It's a proper muddle. And I mean, I'm quite an intelligent person. I like to think I'm quite an intelligent person, and I spend hours trawling through the government guidelines and trying to figure all out, and spend a lot of time chatting with other people about, you know, what's right, and speaking to the councils and stuff like that. And it's interesting because we get different answers from different councils, and it's quite a difficult one. But yeah, I must admit, I have not downloaded the app. I don't see me downloading the app. And yeah, and funny enough, none of my guys have. Yes, Kirsty, we serve alcohol. We've got a bar, so we run a bar at both sites, night behind bars, till 10 o'clock now, basically. Shepton's finished actually its events for the year now, so they don't start until April next year. But yeah, we have an alcohol license at Shrewsbury because we used to run we used to run music nights. Obviously we do like outdoor cinemas. We do so many different events. It was just made more sense for us to have a license. And next year we're going to start weddings in prison. So yeah, and it is a real muddle. There are people bringing multiple cans to themselves on Saturday. Yeah, they do. People buy it from the bar and then take it up and stuff like that. There's a balance between people having a good time and not drinking too much and stuff like that. And fundamentally, it's one of those things that most people don't tend to drink too much, because then they don't enjoy the event. The whole point is to enjoy the event. So it's a balance by meeting expectations and trying to get everybody to enjoy the night. So we're getting there with that. I think we'll get it pretty close this week, and we'll see if it's we should get it absolutely spot on for April, which we're very excited about. So. Wedding in prison, so Laura says, yeah, that's it. Do you know what? Everyone should message Lauren and Stacey this evening and say, congratulations, we're really looking forward to your wedding next year in the prison. And they'll just be like, bloody Joel. So maybe we should just pick a date for them as well. We should just plan the whole thing. We could plan a surprise wedding for them. We'll get them both to turn up. And yeah, yes, Kirsty, there's Rosie at the bar. Although Lauren thinks it is Merlot. I saw a hilarious thing last week. I don't know if any of you guys saw it that were there. But yeah, somebody ordered a Merlot, and Lauren went, "Is that a red, a white, or a rosé?" And I was just in the corner, absolutely creasing. And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Mate, Merlot's red. Like that's how it comes." She was like, "I didn't know. I thought it was like a brand." I was like, "No." So yeah, that was very funny. Bless her. Laura's not a drinker, so she wouldn't know these things. I was trying to explain grapes to her, about different grapes for different wines and different regions. They were just gone. She didn't care. I know, Teresa. Who's going to get married first? Is it going to be James and Laura? Is it going to be Stacey and Lauren? We've had some inquiries, actually, funny enough, from prisoners that have met in prison. They're wanting to get married there. So, and I'm unsure as to whether we're going to want people to get married. I don't know if people want to get married in the jail or just have the reception in the jail. I can understand having the reception in the jail, and we're going to make it look amazing. Like, we're going to take the netting out of the ones, we're going to clear out all the cells, redecorate them all, and then basically once we've taken the netting out of the ones, we can do some amazing stuff. At night time, when it's dark, we can stick different lights along the netting at different levels, and we can make the top level look like the stars in the sky, and it looks fantastic, and it's such a brilliant atmosphere, such a brilliant backdrop, and we can truly make it look amazing. So different. But yeah, so I don't know if we're gonna get people that want to do the whole thing, the vows and the whole wedding in the prison, or just the reception. I get the reception. I understand why people would want to do the reception. I would think about doing my reception in the wedding. I've got to be honest. I think there's something really good about that. And when we've really sorted out the 3s and the 4s as well, properly, and put the toilets, all the new toilets in and stuff like that, and done the development on it, people will be able to stay on the 3s and the 4s. When COVID's gone, like gone, we're going to be able to put like 150 people in the prison to sleep, and you'll be able to party, and the whole thing will be in one area, and it's going to be amazing. It'll be absolutely immense. But yeah, I don't know if people would want to get married there, and if they are, which bit. I think we'll reinstate part of the old chapel. So yes, that's a question, I guess. We'll see what the interest is. So Jesus, it's 9:15, so I think we're there. And just have a quick look at it goes to Shrewsbury. Do you know what, James? That's a really good shout. Can you imagine some of the photos from the roof? Like some of the photos we could get taken from there would be epic. So yeah, who's such a random. Sorry, I'm just having a quick look. Someone's just pinged me a message on my Facebook page as we talk. Such a really random message as well. No idea. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the weddings. Yeah, I think when we get a castle, people are definitely going to get married now. We're going to have a lot of castle weddings. That would be cool. But yeah, I think we can. I think once we've sorted the bits of the prison out, we'll get a lot of wedding receptions there. A lot of wedding receptions, and a lot of people will stay overnight as well. So yeah. Right, guys, I'm gonna love you and leave you for another Thursday. I'm back next week, obviously. Lots of stuff happening next week. Obviously, we've got Night Behind Bars this weekend. It's me overnight with Lauren this time, so it's me and Lauren overnight with Barry. So we'll be there. We'll see if we can do a cheeky live. I'm not going to promise anything. We'll see. We've got a busy event. It's full on, and obviously we'll both be working. We've got lots happening next week in the jail. We just kind of general maintenance-y bits happening and stuff, what we call planned preventative maintenance stuff happening, bits happening on the roof, bits happening with the guttering. Not very exciting for you guys, really exciting for us. And yeah, a few other bits and pieces. So I will be back next Thursday. We're going to have some good news next Thursday to share with you all, or to talk about, so we'll do that then. And other than that, anything pops up, ping me a message. And other than that, take care. And as Morris has just said, stay safe. So yeah, and I will catch up with you guys next week.